deeper in those. So, this vision of heaven, I told you that this is the eternal absolute standard. So this is not something that can be compromised. And it's not something we can yield. And it's not something we can give up. And not something we can alter or change. Because it is absolute, unique, unchanging, eternal, and it is universal. And this is connected to Holy Mother Han, her name, but we can also see that it's related, connected directly to her life. And I have conviction of this, and I want to prove this. So this vision of heaven is the first, the beginning, the Alpha, and it's also the last, the end, the Omega. And this is what True Mother is saying. The beginning and the end must be the same. Only then can God's uniqueness, eternalness, unchangingness can be true. And this vision of heaven is the vision of the first cause and creator. And it presents the essence of origin, the origin of existence, and presents the purpose of life and the direction and content of living, and also the motivation of faith and the goals of life. So why do we live in faith? And I came to find that this vision goes beyond religion and goes beyond everything. So, because I have this conviction, I kept my faith. And our second and third generation members, why do you keep your faith? Through Hyojin testimonies, we see we have many sufferings and we have many difficulties. But I saw many times that it all returns to this vision of heaven. I think that we live our lives of faith because of this, not for power, not for money. That's how I view it. Why does the Family Federation exist? I think, and I have 100% certainty that our movement exists to realize and establish this vision of heaven. So I put what I experienced personally in this PowerPoint, and AI understood this and sort of drew this. And I think this vision of heaven is like a highway, the road that goes to heaven. So on heaven's side, I believe we have this master key of heaven and GPS. And it's also, it becomes a compass, and it also becomes a scale that can determine what is bad and good. So what is specifically this vision of heaven? First, I would like to see three things. And first, these three things are about the vision that is related to 억만세. So we are trying to make this holy organization, and we're trying to be a member of that. Did Plato say anything about this? Did Socrates say anything about this? No philosopher talked about this. We are trying to make this holy community. Is this something of a cult? Absolutely not. And we're trying to attend the ideal humans. And that ideal human being, those ideal human beings are the complete substantialization of Heavenly Parents. And we're trying to attend them, and what is wrong about that? Third, we're trying to make the substantial 천율국, the ideal world, where the spirit world and the physical world are in complete unity and peace. So since 10, 20 years ago, I've applied special meaning to Ommanse. So I would say to students, don't worry about your careers. If you understand what this Ommanse means, then everything will figure it out itself. So these three things are about Ommanse first. And the next three things are about the three great blessings. The three great blessings, as we know, all of existence is related to that. There's nothing that exists that is not related to the three great blessings. From Heavenly Parents, the spirit world and physical world, everything is related to the three great blessings. And this goes beyond religion and ideologies. It's universal values.
그리고 모든 사람이 참 부모, 참 스승, 참 주인 되는 것도 이것도 3대 축복에 좀 비슷한 내용입니다.
And also everyone becoming true parents, true owners. This is also related to the three great blessings. This should be the base of everything. This is not something of a cult. Not at all. And the third group is that with true heart, true love, and the word, and life and lineage, and we're trying to make life and lineage through that. That is what our organization is trying to do. How much love is in this world? And in that true love, there's true heart, and there's true love in there, and true words. We want such life, and we're trying to make a lineage with such life. And that is our great vision. And we don't just want freedom or peace. We don't just want that, but we want freedom, peace, unity, happiness, and joy. And plus alpha, we also want gratitude, which True Mother emphasizes. So these contents are very outstanding contents, and they're not something of a cult. And we pursue the absolute, unique, unchanging, eternal, and universal. I believe we learned something very great and grand from our parents, our true parents. And in this third category, it's about the real world. Now, the modern society has not well established a society that's interdependent and pursues mutual prosperity and universal values. In our organization, although it's difficult, we try to pursue these things. And we're also trying to establish a culture that transcends religion, nationality, and race. And especially the three great heavenly laws that True Father emphasizes so much. It's in our 21st Constitution. First, to keep your lineage and to keep your purity. Second, is not to violate the heart or human rights of others. Third is not to misuse public funds. These are the three great heavenly laws. Do other religions have this? I also studied many laws of religions and countries. They don't have such laws, and we are an organization that is living by such laws of high quality. So these 12 aspects, when we see these, are we a criminal band? Are we a cult? Absolutely not. So with this vision of heaven, the first thing is related is the principle of creation. But we weren't able to complete that, so there was a fall, and became a human history to try to find a way to restoration. And if we are victorious, the next stage is substantial governance. And who does Heavenly Parent govern? They govern through the true parents. Because Heavenly Parent doesn't have a form, He cannot be here Himself. But through April 13th, Heavenly Parent was able to substantially come to this earth. But 3 months after that, from July 18th, from the raids, it started from July 18th, September 17th, September 23rd, October 10th, and December 1st. The trial continues on. And this substantial governance must be fostered and amplified. Because this is not being amplified, it feels like we're being stuck. It feels like it's being delayed. But after this substantial governance, this stage, and when True Mother goes to spirit world, then this golden age enters its stage of completion. When True Mother enters the spirit world, she brings everything with her. So it takes a long time from the construction of heaven and putting heaven into practice. And there is a mission that becomes the center of this 13th year of Cheonryuguk. So the year 13, True Father said that centering on the number 13, heaven and earth operate and all purposes are completed. Centering on 13, we can attend Heavenly Parent and realize the kingdom of heaven. These are all from True Father's words. And the 13th day is the day that God's dream comes true. It's a day when a new world begins. That is what True Mother said. And Jesus died because He could not stand in the position of the number 13. So to find the number 13, we had the coronation ceremony of God's kingship on January 13th. And now it is the 13th year of Cheonryuguk. So I don't know how you may think, but we may ask, why was the year motto given in the 13th year of Cheonryuguk? Why does that perpetuate and go down in history? Why? because that number 13 is a central number. That is in the words of True Father. And the center never changes until the end. What persists until the end is the center. And knowing this, I am astonished and surprised and shocked, unendingly thinking about the wisdom of this. So I contemplated about this a lot, about the vision of heaven. The first thing was, why does the motto of the 13th year of 천일국 go down in generations? So we saw that, and the second, in a providential, in the perspective of God, at the vision of heaven, what meaning does True Mother's suffering have? How can we interpret this? The second question was about that, and third, on September 21st, before True Mother left Cheonjeonggung, she called a few leaders and requested something. She said, we must make a healthy, stable, and continuous organization. So we must make a global standard that is also transparent. And what has all this? It is in the Constitution. And in True Father's words, the word Constitution comes out about 2,300 times. And even Jesus said that there must be a constitution. And I want to look over that too. First, the number 13, although I won't be able to go over it in detail today, the things she said in the 13th year of 천일국, the year 2025, she made proclamations unheard of before. Looking back on them now, they were contents that were necessary to complete the providential golden age. How did True Mother know all this and laid it out like a puzzle? I am astonished. If you put what happened for the past 12 years together, then the contents of this 13th year, we can see that it becomes a fundamental or a basic formula that brings about the completion of the providential golden age. So, year 2025 is a year that we don't want to think about again. But in a providential perspective, it is a very important year because it is connected with the number 13. Because of this, people throughout the world made prophecies about South Korea in 2025. If you see it on YouTube, there are many videos about the prophecies. And they're all connected to this. The second subject I want to talk about is True Mother's life. It's about True Mother's life related to the vision of heaven. But people receive Nobel Peace Prizes based on politics, but True Mother, her contents of peace are about the vision of heaven. They're about the past, present, future, and therefore all of humanity that transcend religion and culture.
그런데 놀라운 것은 이
It is a peace that has such values.
비교할 데가 없습니다. 그래서 저는 기네스북에 올라가야 될 내용이다.
So I believe
노벨 평화상도 몇 개는 받아야
that
된다.
these contents have to receive many Nobel Peace Prizes and should go up in the Guinness Book of World Records, I believe.
비교할 수 없는 양적인 내용 갖고 있습니다. 결론적으로 말씀드린다면은
So,
66년이라는 긴
To
시간
speak conclusively, in the 66 long years,
40년도 쉽지 않아요. 어머님은 66년입니다. 60년도 성원식 때부터. 그리고
from the Holy Marriage, 60 years, and
80여 가지가 됩니다. 이런 행사를
she conducted about 380 movements of peace. No one else had come close to doing anything like this.
부모님을 지상에 모시는 꿈을 가지고 이래왔다. 그 꿈이 바로 비전이죠. 이상이고 꿈이죠. 그래서 여러분 시간 되면 한번
So if you have time,
무엇을 했는지
Shumada said, come to Gapyeong. You can see what I've done.
다 기록이죠.
This Cheonwon complex is all records. It's all records of what she done.
하신 그 평화 운동을 우리가 좀
So those peace movements that True Mother had conducted, if we see, first is Heavenly Parents' dream. She didn't fulfill any political dream, but moved and pursued a peace that fulfills the dream of Heavenly Parents. And the scale is the peace of humankind, not of one nation or one city, but peace for all of humanity, everyone on this world. And it's world peace. Peace for this whole world. And it's also peace of the cosmos that also includes the spirit world. No one who received the Nobel Peace Prize ever pursued such a big goal.
실질적으로 하늘 부모님께서 치리를 할 수 있도록 하는 평화.
And the peace that True Mother pursues is the peace that Heavenly Parent could substantially govern. And it's a peace that completes the substantial golden age. This is not mere political contents.
또 횟수로 볼 때는 이 66년간 380까지는 거기 나중에 좀 보겠습니다.
We'll look over this later.
이 많은 내용은
So all these contents
함께 53년간 계실 때 하신 내용입니다.
are the contents that True Parents did together while True Father was alive.
디테일한 내용이 있습니다.
They are very detailed.
이거 정리하는데
There are a lot of details here, although it may be in small captions.
유엔이 못해요. 한국, 일본, 미국 정부가 할 수 있습니까? 못해요.
Do you think the Korean, Japanese, American governments can do what True Parents did here? I believe not. There are a lot of complicated problems here, spiritual problems. Not knowing the three great blessings, how would you be able to do this? Our Japanese leaders who contributed to all this, I truly express my gratitude. This required so much money and so much manpower. The blood and sweats and tears of the Japanese members that are mixed in here, it is unfathomable. And I believe that a day that we bow to our Japanese members will come because we are so grateful. Our Japanese members have contributed greatly to our movement. I believe that day will come. So how much help the Japanese members have been. Many missionaries coming, sacrificing their families. And when I think about this, tears flow.
53년입니다. 60년부터 해가지고 아버님 성화하신 이 2012년까지 하면 53년간입니다.
So all this was done in 53 years while True Father was still alive. And looking over all this, there's about 220 peace movements, just by their own kinds, but there are many movements that were repeated 2 or 3 times. And this scientist gathering or a science rally, that was conducted about 27 times, but that only counts as one kind of peace movement. So by kind, there are about 220 peace movements, but based on the conducted events, that number probably surpasses 1,000 or 1,500. And for this, much money and manpower was required, and our Japanese members contributed greatly to that. So after True Father's ascension, what happened? Did True Mother just do nothing? No. Now, this is what True Mother had done alone after True Father's ascension. For world peace, for peace of humankind, for these requirements, I categorized it with categories of heavenly parent, true parents, 천일국, three great blessings, one family, and so on. And there are many contents here. And every time there's something new, I would add them to these boxes. And when I look back on it, all she does matches what she says. So we must run this heaven. So how we run this vision, how we run communication, run professionalism, run finance. Now all these, nothing overlaps. Everything is unique. And because we have to establish a model, there are education, office, workshops, health, welfare, culture, organization. All these contents added together add up to about 160. So True Mother having to do all this, has she had time to sleep? I believe not. And all this requires unfathomable money and people, manpower. And True Mother would contemplate how she would run all this smoothly. This is what they did for about 13 years. So for 13 years, after True Father's ascension, what she did alone, she was victorious about 160 movements. And there were so many events. With these contents,
아버님과 함께 53년간 220여 가지를 했습니다.
True Mother had conducted 220 movements of peace with True Mother. And by events conducted, we may have to multiply that 5-fold or 10-fold. But then after True Father's ascension, True Mother initiatively, for 13 years, conducted about 160 movements of peace. So everything added together, there are 380 kinds of movements of peace, but events conducted, we may have to multiply this 6, 7, 8-fold. So looking at all this, how can we say that True Mother is a criminal? Why do the judges ignore all this? Why do the prosecutors ignore this? And our police, officers, lawyers, media, why do they ignore all this? This is not a story written up. It are all recorded in pictures, videos, and we also have witnesses. A true mother has lived this life. And how can we treat her as a criminal? And true mother, in her trial, she says that I'm not this person. I'm not that person that you I'm not the person you put me in the mold.
집어넣으려 하지 마라. 나는
That you put.
여러분하고
How do I say?
천명을 가지고 있는 사람이라. 그래서 평생을 이렇게 살아온.
I'm not the person in the mold in which you put me in.
그래서 이 내용들이 이제 뜻성사를 해야 됩니다. 우리가 원리에서 잘 알듯이 뜻성사를 하려면 95% 하늘 부모님 또 그리고 하나 되신 참 부모님 합쳐서 95%가 있어야 됩니다. 그리고 5% 책임이 있어야 돼요. 그 5%의 책임이
We have this 5% of responsibility, and this 5% of responsibility goes to relevant people and our members. And I categorize this to a few categories. First is devotion, second is purification, and third is professionalism. Because we are related to this world, you must be one with heaven's providence with these three things. And only then does the path of the cross end up victorious. So the path of the cross being victorious requires these four things: heaven's providence, devotion, purification, and professionalism. So our devotion is conducted at 천심원. And seeing this, the difficulties and the path of the cross that Shemad is walking must be victorious. Why? 4 reasons. First is because the vision of heaven is eternal, unchanging, unique, and universal. No one can give this up or yield this or compromise that. Second, because True Mother's life is a life lived for this vision of heaven. So, True Mother's life also has the values of the unchanging, eternal. And universal. And third is because we have the earnestness and desperateness of our members. And this is something we cannot ignore. This moves the spirit world and moves this physical world. It has such power. And fourth is that this time is in the completion stage. So we must be victorious here, and we must move on to the next stage. So that is why I believe True Mother's path of the cross will be victorious. To our true family members, when they visit True Mother, and when True Mother meets leaders, she always says, "Do not worry about me." She encourages those who visit her. As I am one with heavenly parents, and I am one with the vision of heaven, and that is how I live my entire life. No matter what anyone says, if they compliment me or curse at me, nothing changes. What I'm worried about is not me. I worry about you. That I feel strongly. Then how will we live or conduct? First, no matter what anyone says, is we must live with the vision of heaven at the center of our lives. This is our navigation, our GPS. If you meditate and pray, you can see this. Because we have navigation or GPS, we can check our own position and check what is around us. In front of me, there's this. It's beside me, around me, I have such things. If you and I keep on solving practice problems and try to see the world through this vision of heaven. And this is our compass. It gives us a clear direction. And this also a scale. And it becomes a standard of telling me whether something is enough or not.
나타나는 거예요. 이것이 사무쳐 있으면은 뭐 정치적인 줄 서고 뭐 이런 거 다 초월할 수 있어요.
And if we are
여유가 있고
engulfed in this,
마음의 평화를
then we can overcome anything, any political problem. Then we can find the peace in our hearts, and freedom in our hearts, and joy in our hearts. And we can see the good in other people, and respect other people. And we can live cohesively with others. Our doors of our heart, our gates of our heart are able to open if we have this vision of heaven. Second is spirit and truth. 천일국 is a world where the spirit world and physical world are one. Representing the spirit world is very complicated. It's chaotic. And what becomes the center of that is spirits. It's God's realm. And there are many spirits, but what becomes the center is God's spirit. And when truth is added to that, then everything is organized. And I believe that our training center and 천심원 are the maximized places where you can truly put these things into practice. It is the highest level. So here, almost every day, from 40,000 to 60,000 members from around the world come here. And by locations, and during even great works, about 100,000 people are connected to here. And we are conducting about 40 different programs here. And I have about 8 here. But if we look specifically, then there are about 40 programs. I asked, do Catholics do like this? And they said no. And I asked AI, is there anywhere else that has such programs? And then they said no, you're the only place. This is the only place. And when I logically think about this, this is the only place, like, our place is one of a kind. So Catholics and Buddhists, they emphasize spirit. But what our churches emphasize is, I've never seen any other religion emphasize the same things. So here our spirits mature. And through that, we will eventually find professionalism. And many people repent and their diseases are healed. We haven't seen this in the past. So we have this astonishing place. And why do we have so many people having a negative eye upon this place? It's very sorrowful. Next is true love. True love is able to melt anything. It is the master key. And in the past, when I was in Someone University, I would ask myself, why does True Father, what he says, like 70 to 80% of it is about true love. Then I realized, true love is the original essence. It's the essence of God. And I was able to realize true love is the master key for everything. And being able to specifically express that true love, and these are the 3 great phrases that True Father said at Nixon's Watergate incident: forgive, love, and unite, become one. And all, like the New York Times, Washington Post, everything advertised about this, about how we accepted it, how they accepted it. And this is only possible when we have true love. So the contents of true love is immensely important. While living in this golden age, this fourth thing is what I want to share newly to you. It is about the Constitution. True Father talked about Constitution about 2,300 times. He said the word Constitution 2,300 times. And when we look at True Father's words of 1974, said it's a necessity that we have to make the constitutions of heaven alongside true parents and our members. So we were able to establish these constitutions with much devotion in studying. And in September 22nd, True Mother told us to hurry. And on April 22nd, we were told to establish these constitutions of heaven. But True Mother said, do it faster. So 2026 becomes the starting year of the governance of these constitutions. Ever since the creation of our church, for 72 years, we haven't heard of an age where we be governed by the Constitution. But whether it will be June or July, I believe our constitutions of heaven will surely be established. And now it's been a year, almost a year, since the age of direct governance has opened. So this age of governance by heavenly law, which affects our lives of faith, will start this year, if late, the latter half of this year. We're not talking about something very distant. So, in the Constitution, there are many things at play. The first is how we're going to establish the heavenly community of heavenly parents. Second, how are we going to complete the golden age? How are we going to establish true parents' standing? How are we going to establish the system for the settlement of Cheonryuk and the rights of missions of the citizens of Cheonryuk? How are we going to establish that?
그중에서 오늘 시간 없기 때문에 심플하게 간단한 거 20조하고 21조만 제가 예로 드리겠습니다.
So there are many things that go into the Constitution, but I want to talk about only a little bit, something a little. So in front of the Constitution, it is stated that all are equal. And everyone has the right to vote. And everyone has the right to seek help. And they have the right to enter a trial. And they also have the right to be educated. And they also have the right to be a public missionary or public worker. So first, in the Constitution is that they must keep their purity. And second, we must not violate the heart and human rights of some of others. Third, we must not misuse public funds. And one more, It's a hot issue, 천일국 public workers, public officials, and that's
천국 공직자는
is also stated in our constitution.
완성하고 완성하는 일을 해야 된다.
And our 천일국 public officials must
공직자는
establish and complete our 천일국. And there's three conditions of becoming a 천일국 public worker. First is faith. Second is professionalism.
그리고 세 번째는
And third,
공직자는 공직자로서의 품위를
our public workers must
네 번째는
maintain their status, and
수행의 능력을 갖춰야 된다. 수행 능력이 없는 사람은
they must have ability, and those who are incompetent must step aside.
천국 국민을 위해 된다. 여섯 번째는
And they must remain their elegance.
책임을 져야 된다.
And they also have to take responsibility of their actions.
이 공직자는 크게 세 가지 있습니다.
We have three
국회 공직자, 섭리기관 공직자, 그다음에 재단 공직자, 다 공직자입니다. 여기
versions of public workers. First is ministry, second is facility worker, and third
있었기 때문에 막 함부로 해도 누가 얘기할 사람이 없었고 뭔가 기준이 없은 거예요.
is a foundation worker, I believe.
특히 여기 공직 중에서 고위 공직자는 잘못되면 탄핵 소추를 받게 됐어요. 탄핵 소추를 하게 됐어요. 헌법에. 또 기관이 잘못되면은 의회 청문회 하듯이 조사를 받게 됐습니다. 그리고 축복 가정의 의무가 나오는데
it's the mission about our blessed families. And first is they must inherit the tradition of true parents. And second, they must attend true parents. And third, they must remain this sense of elegance of being models to others. Fourth is they must have absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience to true parents. Fifth is they must respect and protect the true family. And this is about the blessed family's responsibility in the 천일국 Constitution. And if we go deeper in the Constitution, contents of the 첨보 families come out. So a lot of time has passed, and the conclusion is that we, centering on the vision of heaven, must rediscover our principle of creation. And through this history of restoration, providence and restoration, we can see that perhaps the conclusion of that would be the path of the cross that True Mother is walking. And in the 30th year of 천일국, 2025, that incident happened.
그다음에 1914년으로 넘어가겠죠. 그래서 빨리 어머님 나오셔가지고
So True Mother,
치리가 가속화돼야 됩니다.
she must be released quickly, and the direct governance of Heavenly Parent must be accelerated.
가속해서 어머님께서 지상에 계시는 동안 유일무이한 이 섭리.
So while True Mother is on earth, and we must complete this golden age of providence, and True Mother must set that model and then go to the spirit world. And that model, and going down to the inheritance of heaven, love, and bliss, and going down in generations, this must be the conclusion before True Mother ascends to the spirit world. So first, True Mother must return to her palace in healthy form for this providence to be accelerated. And True Mother's value must be revealed to all of the cosmos. True Mother's life, the life for the vision of heaven, and her ideals and values must be revealed, perhaps through media, and they must be revealed to those who oppose us as well. And for that, we must consistently offer devotion, and we must keep working to purify ourselves, and we must keep striving for professionalism. In that process, so the question, how we will conduct our lives in 천일국. First, we must live centering on the vision of heaven. Second, we must live a life that matches with spirit and truth. Third, we must live a life centering on true love. Fourth, for our hardships not to repent, we must establish a system with a global standard.
적용을 해서 안정적인 그리고 건강한 공동체를 만들어야 된다.
A stable system, and we must make a healthy organization that can be recognized by the world. So I believe our second and third generation must have pride. So with this, although I'm lacking,